Happy Friday and happy Fridays with Fidelman. I'm Cheryl Fidelman, the Conscious Codependence Coach. There's a lot of new people in the Conscious Codependence community, so welcome. And today's topic on Fridays with Fidelman is Codependence is a Costume. And so this is sort of for Halloween, for those of you who are in a country where Halloween exists, and for those of you who celebrate Halloween, I just thought of this analogy that codependence is a costume, right? So it's something that we add to our true self. It's something that has been added. It's a costume. It's not really us. And we've talked a lot in this community about the traumatic identity and the codependent mask. And so I would say that codependence as a costume is kind of like when we take it off, it means that we can live without our traumatic identity. It means that we can live without codependent masks. It means that the purest version of ourselves is without our codependent costume. It's our true nature. So, all right, I'm going to talk all about that. Welcome to all the new people in the community, and I'm going to be sending out more stuff. So I'm going to start doing a blog with a different theme every month for those of you who like to read as opposed to watching videos. And I'm going to be on Instagram more, which means that I'm getting more related with the fact that it's the year 2022 and not 1994 because I just haven't been really getting interested in learning social media, but I'm getting to it now. All right, so please like or subscribe to my channel, and here we go. I would say each one of us wears a different codependent costume because there's so many different codependent habits and behaviors, and we all have kind of different clusters, and some codependent habits and behaviors I may have and you may not, and vice versa. But the idea here in my work with conscious codependence recovery is that we get to know ourselves so well, because in codependence we're getting to know everybody else so well. Or at the least, we are getting to know our interpretations of other people to the point where we sometimes think our interpretations are them, right? Because, I put out a video a while ago called Codependence is Righteous. There's a righteousness about codependence. Like, we get right about our interpretations of other people and who we think they are and what we think they're doing to us and what we think that they think and how we think that they're operating and what we think that they mean. And we also can truly get to know them beyond our interpretations. But codependence is so much mainly focused on other people or our codependent moments, that conscious codependence recovery is about getting to know ourselves, what triggers us, what interpretations that we make, what we are talented at, what maybe we're not talented at, where we get our feelings hurt, when we get silenced and how we get silenced. What are the different ways in which you receive love or block love? So there's so many, you have so many layers and so much depth to the way that you think and the way that you feel and the way that you create and the way that you work, that in our codependent moments, we are not focused on the multi-layered experience that we're having. We're focused on other people. We're focused on one or more other people. And if we notice our experience, it's mainly only because it's a reaction to somebody else. So it's such a reaction, sometimes we call it a trigger, that we may only notice our own experience or notice our own self when the experience is so big that we get flooded. So the more we get to know ourselves, and the conscious codependence recovery journey is just that. It's a journey of getting to know all the multi-layers of yourself, being able to connect to them, to feel them, to accept them, and also be able to expand on what is truly you. That the more we get to know ourselves, the more we get to see what our codependent costume is. In other words, the more we get to see what is not us. The more we get to know the colors, contours, and dimensions of our true self, the more we get to know the colors, contours and dimensions of our traumatic identity, of our codependent costume. The more we can distinguish within us, like, oh, here's my true nature. This is what I feel like when I'm fully aligned, when I'm in my true self, and when I'm fully in relationship with myself. And oh, this is what it feels like when my traumatic identity is engaged, when that codependent costume comes on and I'm interacting with people with that mask, with my traumatic identity, with my codependent costume. And our codependent costume is not, number one, it's not a choice, right? So for Halloween, we're choosing a costume. Oftentimes our traumatic identity, our codependent costume is not a choice. It's an automatic trauma response identity that we put on to survive a moment, that we put on to try to figure out a moment or try to figure out another person. It's a costume that we put on that disassociates and disconnects us from ourselves. And number two, for some of us, because some of us fully identify as a codependent, I'm included in that category, and some people are like, don't fully identify as a codependent, but I have some codependent habits and behaviors. So for some of us, the codependent costume, like I said, number one, is not a choice. And number two, in those moments, the codependent costume no longer can dissolve and not be a costume anymore. Like, it just is us. It is the thing that's making the decision and running the show. I have a lot of clients who, come to some realization that it wasn't even them that married the person that they married. It was their traumatic identity. They were in their codependent costume when they married that person, and now they're like, I want to take off that codependent costume with this person and be my true nature. But it's the codependent costume and their codependent costume that actually got married and formulated this dynamic. And it's like, how do I stay in this dynamic but be my true self? Will we still be bonded? And myself included in so many relationships. I entered into that relationship and sustained the relationship with my traumatic identity. And I'm no longer doing that. I'm now interfacing with intimacy, not just with others, but with myself, with my true self and my true nature. There isn't the codependent costume that is in the way. Thank you again for listening to my thoughts, theories, and rants. If you feel like 2023, the upcoming year, is your time to at least start phase 1 of your conscious codependence recovery, go ahead and book a free session with me to get your questions answered and see if it's a fit. Booking link is below. And next week is our free and monthly conscious codependence class, which happens the last week of every month, which will be on this very topic, the codependent costume. And we'll throw in their traumatic identity and the codependent mask and anything that comes up for you inside of those ideas. All right, everybody, happy healing, happy early Halloween. I won't be on next Friday because Halloween's my birthday and I'll be off doing a whole bunch of birthday stuff. All right. Thank you. Life is now.